As a kid, yeah. All a nigga wanna have was a Burberry scarf and $3 in my pocket. Instead I got beat with a switch, but I don't give a fuck, but it's on my body. Scars all up on me, but I run around from everybody. Life lesson learned, I better learn from this bitch, nobody. She pushed me around, she didn't give no motherfucks about it. She broke my heart 3 times, but I ain't getting...
I want to talk about why this is a make or break season for Jon Gruden with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, Jon Gruden is going into his 4th season with the Las Vegas Raiders in his 2nd stint with this franchise. And so far, his first couple of years, he has a record of 19 wins and 29 losses. In 2018, he went 4-12, 2019, 7-9, 2020, 8-8. Now, here's the problem with the Las Vegas Raiders. There's nothing wrong with the offense, although you do have some Raider fans out there who feels like the offense is too old-fashioned and whatnot. The offense isn't the issue. The problem is the fact that this defense still cannot find a way to even be average. That's all the Raiders need. All the Raiders need is an average defense, and this team is a playoff caliber football team. Now, the Raiders spent a lot of capital in the draft and in free agency improving this secondary. And for the Raiders, you just keep on drafting defensive backs. You keep drafting defensive backs until I guess you find some that are actually good, and I don't blame them. I do not blame him. Aside from Trayvon Mullen, you don't really have any good corners. Now, you do have Jonathan Abram, who I think is solid when he's able to stay healthy. He's able to stay on the field. You do have a pretty solid pass rush when Max Crosby is able to stay healthy. He kind of had a down year due to the fact that he did have some injury issues and whatnot, but I think he's going to bounce back. I think he's going to end up being a Pro Bowler this year. You bring in Yannick Ngakoue. I think that pass rush is going to improve, and I think that's something that the Raiders have been lacking. Like, if you could have a great pass rush, that's going to help out your secondary, because then your secondary is going to have to stay in coverage for all that long. Linebacker is also a little bit of a concern because Corey Littleton didn't really have the season I thought he would. Now, with Gus Bradley at defensive coordinator, a lot of Raiders fans feel like this defense should improve. I don't really know. I'm still on the fence about Gus Bradley, but another thing about Las Vegas is the fact that they always start the season out really good. Like, first half of the year, you always have Raiders fans coming on saying, oh, yeah, man, like, we're really good. Like, this is going to be the year, man. And then the second half of the season comes around. After Thanksgiving, the Raiders start to fade down the stretch. And that is my biggest issue with Jon Gruden in this Raiders franchise, the fact that they always start out fast. You know, the Rabbit was in first place, but then the Turtle won the race. The teams that didn't start the season out all that good, they end up finishing the season out on a pretty high note, and you end up having the Raiders who end up starting the season out hot, and they end up finishing the season out really cold. So for the Raiders, I just don't understand why this team struggles down the stretch to clinch their playoff spot. I honestly don't. It's like, the playoffs is when then reach for the Las Vegas Raiders, and somehow they just find a way to fumble it. Like, you lost Thursday night against the Miami Dolphins, a game that you should have won, and then you lost one of the biggest upsets of the NFL season last year to the Atlanta Falcons. It's like, I don't know if a lot of you guys remember this commercial, but there used to be a Geico commercial, and they still show it from time to time. You have the old man, grandpa, with the fishing hook, and he has something on it. And it's like somebody's trying to get it, and it's like, oh, you got to be quicker than that. You got to be quicker than that. And every time they think they're about to get it, it says, oh, you got to be quicker than that. You got to get quicker than that. It's like, you ever gave somebody a high five, you say up high. You get them a high five, then you say down low. Then you pull your hand the last minute, you say too slow. That's what happens with the Las Vegas Raiders. It seems like every time they come close to making it into the playoffs, they just fumble it, man. And I really don't understand why Jon Gruden doesn't have this team more prepared in the last stage of the season. It seems like this team just gets so confident and so full of themselves that in the second half of the year, it just comes back and it bites them in the butt. And for Jon Gruden, man, like, Jon Gruden is getting paid a lot of money. A lot of money. And even if the Raiders don't make it into the playoffs this year, I mean, he still has a couple more years to make it work because he has like a decade-long contract. So for Raiders fans, if Jon Gruden once again fails to get the job done, I don't think we're going to see him going anywhere. Simply for the fact that he is probably going to have one of the largest buyouts in NFL history. That was really smart of him and his agent negotiating whatever kind of contract they were able to get the Raiders ownership to sign off on, because this is a really good deal. So for Jon Gruden, man, this is a really critical season for him, because I feel like a lot of people give Jon Gruden more credit than what he deserves, simply for the fact that he won a Super Bowl like nearly 2 decades ago. Like, it's 2021, people. It has been, what? We went through 2012. It's nearly been like 19 years, pretty much, since Jon Gruden won the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And after he won that Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he didn't really have that much success after. Like, yeah, he went to the playoffs a couple of times, but he didn't really have any deep playoff runs. So when you look at Jon Gruden, man, like, I really feel like a lot of people just think about the fact that Jon Gruden won the Super Bowl like nearly 2 decades ago, and they say, you know, JT, like, this guy's a former Super Bowl winning coach. Like, that was 2 decades ago. Mike McCarthy won the Super Bowl with Green Bay in 2010, and look where he's at. So, I mean, like, I feel like too many people just hold the fact that Jon Gruden won the Super Bowl, like, they just use that too much to the fact to prove their argument of why they think Jon Gruden is the guy. Like, you can win the Super Bowl and still end up not being great after. So you look at Jon Gruden, man, like, I just feel like he's kind of overrated. And I don't really like using the term overrated and underrated on the channel all that much, because I really feel like how you view a team or how you view a player or a coach is what your expectations are for that player, coach, or a team. Okay, like, for example, if I say that the Chiefs are going to go 17-0 this year and they end up going 12-5, I'm not going to call them overrated. Just because I was wrong in my assessment about the team doesn't mean they were overrated. So really the whole overrated, underrated argument comes to how people's expectations are for said player, said team, or said coach. So I don't really like using the whole overrated, underrated thing, but I do feel like Jon Gruden does get too much credit for what he's done in the past. And when I look at Raiders fans saying, oh, we did this, or Jon Gruden did this, like, I don't care about that. Because what does Jon Gruden winning a Super Bowl 2 decades ago do for the Raiders this year? How does that help them? How does the Raiders pulling off the upset against Kansas City last year help them this year? That was last year. Jon Gruden winning the Super Bowl is in the past. Like, you Raiders fans have to get over that. You have to look at the current task at hand. And for right now, man, like, I feel like this is a really critical season for Jon Gruden. Because I feel like if Jon Gruden doesn't get the Raiders into the playoffs this year, then I feel like he may not ever get the Raiders to the playoffs. Ever. Because you look at all of the teams that have caught up with the Las Vegas Raiders. Because when Jon Gruden took over as a head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, he was pretty much the second best team. Like, yeah, you had the Chargers with that one big year when Anthony Lynn and them went to the playoffs and they got destroyed by New England. Okay. But outside of that, the Chargers have gotten worse every single year. Same thing with the Broncos. Now, the Broncos are on the up and up. It just comes down to the quarterback. It just comes back down to how well the quarterback position plays out for them. But when you look at the Las Vegas Raiders, like, at the time, you were the second best team in your division. And it seems like the rest of the division has caught up to you. And then you look at the young quarterbacks in this division, such as Justin Herbert and potentially Drew Lock, if he's able to figure things out. So with Justin Herbert, the Chargers are going to be here to stay. If Brandon Staley ends up being the head coach that we all expect him to be. So for the Chargers, they're going to be here to stay. If Denver can figure out the quarterback if they can figure out their whole quarterback, the battle that they have going on between Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, and even if they don't get that figured out, they're definitely going to have it figured out next offseason. So really for Denver and the Chargers, you are pretty much caught up to the Las Vegas Raiders. So I look at Jon Gruden, if he can't get the Raiders to the playoffs this season, I don't think he's ever going to be able to get the Raiders to the playoffs ever. Because you can make an argument and say that this is the best team that Jon Gruden has had since he has been the head coach in his second stint with the Las Vegas Raiders. So for me, if this defense doesn't improve, I don't think it ever will improve, because then you're once again going to keep on bringing in another defensive coordinator, bringing in some more defensive backs until you get it right. And I just don't think that if Jon Gruden is able to get the Raiders to the playoffs this year, I just don't think it's ever going to happen. I just don't, because after this year, Denver definitely is going to have their quarterback situation taken care of. You look at the Chargers, Justin Herbert is going to continue to improve, and they already have a pretty solid foundation, so they're going to continue to build on and add talent on. So the Raiders, you look at, the Broncos and Chargers, the Chargers are just going to continue to go up, and it seems like the Raiders are just going to keep on trying to scratch and crawl on the ground and try to figure out how they can get that defense going and how they can get this team into the playoffs. So I think that this is a make or break season for Jon Gruden. Honestly do. And I don't like using the whole make or break scenarios and things like that. But I really feel like if the Raiders don't get into the playoffs this season, then I don't think they're ever going to get into the playoffs with Jon Gruden as long as he stays as their head coach.